Hey craft artists, this is Sherri again, and this is a cute little project, Frankenstein, a little guy that I came up with. Anyway, this is a jar that I picked up. It's a candle jar that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I made these for my cousin Linda. She was having a party, a Halloween party last year, so I made them with the idea of tea lights to go underneath those. So hey Linda, hope you enjoyed yours. And it made his face kind of glow a little bit, but I thought I would kind of kick it up a notch this year and do not candles, but candy holders. So instead of having his face this way, I'm going to turn it upside down, so the bolts on his neck is going to be down here at the bottom, and the candy can go in here in the top, so he'll be a little more useful. So prep work is very important. I did about 4 coats of gesso on this and let it set and cure good. Make sure it's dry between each coat. And then when you decide which way you want to do your Frankenstein, decide where his bolts are going to go, and then take your X-Acto knife and scratch out a round area and clean it with alcohol, and then don't touch it again. And then set that to the side to dry. And take your jewelry off, guys. I can't stress that enough, because we're going to be working with an epoxy putty. It's a 2-part epoxy. So it will get in your jewelry and make a mess. And keep your Germex on hand and a towel in your lap. And I'm using Loctite today. This is a 5-minute cure time. I strongly recommend maybe investing in some Qwikwood. Qwikwood has about a 15-minute cure time. Gives you a little more time to work the putty. I've kind of done this a lot, so I'm going to go for it, but I'm only going to do 1 bolt at a time, because it's a little bit too stressful in video to do 2 bolts and hurry up and get them on. And I also use my go-to glue, my E6000 glue, and what I'm going to do is, once I get the putty formed and I go to stick it on my dot there, I want to have a little bit of E6000 glue just to give it that extra bite. On this project that I did last year, these bolts aren't going anywhere. They're on there, and believe me when I tell you, I've done many takes with this video doing the same thing. So these are not coming off, and they're just whimsy. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to really look like bolts. You get the idea, right? I mean, it kind of gives it the idea that there's bolts in Frankenstein's neck. And I'm going to do a 2-sided Frankenstein as always. So to get started, I've got my E6000, I've got my Germex handy, I've got my Loctite repair putty, and I'm going to do 1 bolt at a time. So I think I probably only need about maybe that much. I don't know what that is. Probably less than a 1/2 inch here. So cut that off, wrap the rest of it so it doesn't dry out on you. And now we're going to knead both of these colors together until it's 1 color. And there's only 5 minutes to work with, so excuse me while I rush. You can feel it starting to get warm. And you know it's going to start setting up at that point. So this is another reason why it's just best to do 1 bolt at a time. Now you can cut both of them, because this doesn't start to set up until the epoxy is starting to be mixed together, so that you're sure that you have both bolts the same size. But again, it's a whimsy character, and you know, he doesn't care that he has odd-shaped bolts on each side. Okay. So roll it into what maybe looks like a little bolt size. Cut off a nub and rolling back again. The nub is going to be the bolt top. Okay, so we got our little bolt nub, and roll this into a ball and make it really, really flat. Now, we'll stick it on the end of our bolt, kind of shape it. Again, we're just going for whimsy here. So if it's not perfect, whoop-de-doo, right? Okay, then I keep this plastic butter knife on hand to give it some threads on the bolt. Just a little more whimsy, flatten that out. I can already start to feel it setting up, so let's just set him down there for a second and take our E6000 and we're just gonna smear. We don't want a big blob of glue, just a little smear, because this epoxy will stick to anything, but I like to make double sure it's not gonna go anywhere. So there's a little smear. Take your bolt, push him on, fix your little bolt top here a little bit. If it's rippled and warped, who cares? If the bolt goes on crooked, who cares? It's Frankenstein. He was put together with used parts, so he's gonna be ugly anyway, right? All right, so we'll sit there and let that dry. Clean off my hands real quick with the Germ-X. Okay. Now let's go for the second one. So if you want to fast forward through this, I completely get it, because this is like the boring part. Okay, I'm going to move that X-Acto knife way out of the way because I don't want to grab it and cut myself on accident, because I am done with it, other than cutting that last little nub off. So mix the colors till they're one. I can feel it already starting to get warm. If you don't mix the colors as one, it may not set up right. Okay, grab that X-Acto back. Cut off a nub. I'm gonna throw it out of the way. Okay, make your bolt shape again. And it's not gonna be the same size as the other one, but who cares? Roll the nub in a ball. Flatten it out. I kind of want that as round as you can get it. You don't want it too disfigured. Okay. Put that on the top of the bolt. Just wanted to stick to everything now. Okay. And it's whimsy because, again, it's just an old piece of nuts and bolts just laying around the workshop. Put some little texture in it. Roll this around. Grab some E6000. Just a dab on there. Wiggle, wiggle, push. Fix the little bolt top. Push. Smash him on there. And it doesn't matter if some of the clear is showing through, because we have yet to start base coating. So, all right, that one's already set up, so we just need to let him dry. And then I'm going to take my apple green and do 3 coats, 2 coats, 3 coats. You want it to cover really well. Base coat with your apple green, and then meet me back here. Hey guys, welcome back. So we got our base coat on of the apple green. So the next thing I'm going to do is paint on some eyes. And I'm going to use buttermilk for that. So I'm going to come in here and do a round eye and a square sideways eye. So it's coming about right here. Might need 2 coats. here I think I'll do like a triangle eye. Dry a little bit. Okay, I think next I'll do the nose, and I'm doing a satin. I picked up some, what color is that? It's paprika in the satin. This is Americana. I got it dirt cheap and I love the color, but since we're doing silver, or we're doing pure silver on the bolts, and I've got a blue eye that I'm doing that's pearl, so I thought, why not? Let's mix some mediums up. So I'm gonna do this whimsical nose, this humongous nose. Just take it across the face any way we can get it in there. My plan is to seal this with a gloss sealer anyway, so these extra separate mediums will kind of disappear. Okay. That looks pretty good. Alright. The next thing I'm going to do is, let's do his mouth. And then for this I'll use the loew-cornell number 2. And I want this a little thin, so I'm going to add just a tiny bit of float medium, just to run my brush in, get it a little wet. Okay, so his mouth. Let's just go for it here. And I think about right here, I'm going to add some goofy looking teeth. So let's make a little opening. Some eyebrows. Come in here with my number 5 Duncan, which is my preferred brush to scrub on cheeks. Load the brush up with some red and scrub it out a little bit. Kind of make him look flushed and ugly. Okay. Let's hit those eyes again. Let's get a little white. Go back to my loew-cornell number 2. Let's do some goofy teeth here. This buttermilk is drying pretty fast, which is good because I want to get some really good coats on there. has eyes. So for his eyes, I think I'll do a brown one. It's some raw sienna and the pearl blue. I haven't had that pearl blue open for a while, so I'll just work out of the lid. So let's get the butt end of my big number, I don't know what number this is, it's a large Donna Dewberry flat, and we'll just make a round eye about right there. Clean that up with another brush here in a sec. So I'm going to come in with a raw sienna. And I think I'll do a brown eye up in here. Just to be a little whimsical. And then I'll work it in with my number 2. A little bit bigger here. There we go. Okay, we'll let that dry. Now we'll come in with some black and make some scars. Let's do one right here. And maybe one over here. Maybe one right there. Put the stitches in after we highlight. And we will be highlighting with Lime Green by Folk Art. And I hope that's dark enough. Some of my 3/8 inch shader. Heel in the float medium, toe in the paint, blend it out. Okay, let's run a highlight under his mouth and see how that color is going to turn out. I'm not liking that color. Let me go get a darker green. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to try the Kelly green. I think it's a little bit darker. Might be a tad gaudy, but Frank is gaudy anyway. Okay, let's try this under his mouth and see. Pretty gaudy, but I'm liking it. I'm liking it for now. Okay. Okay, let's try the eyes. Walk it around. Yeah, I'm liking that green. I'm okay with that. Okay. Let's see. Coming back in with my number 2. Let's give that brown some more color. Blue pearl looks pretty good. I think I might hit it one more time as well. Looking pretty funky. Okay. Now that my floats are getting dry around certain areas, I will continue floating. If you float wet on wet, you just pick the float up, so it's best to work in stages. And floats dry really, really fast. Okay, so now I can come in here around his nose. Shaping up a little bit. I think I'll go ahead and hit his scars too. Let's see, I'm going to come on the inside with this scar. Side of this one. to get my scriptliner. Come in here with some really wet black and work on his stitches. So we're just going to flick some on here and there. And I think a couple in his mouth. I've got a fan on behind me and it's drying my paint out. Yeah, let's do maybe one or two down here. We can even bring his mouth out a little bit, make more of a goofy smile, and then come in here with maybe a couple of stitches right there. Okay. All right, now let's work on the eyes some more. I'm gonna put a black dot in the center using the butt end of my large flat. It's gonna go right in the center. And I think I'm gonna go back in with my liner. I think I'm gonna put some stitches on his eyes. There, maybe sewn on. So we'll do maybe a couple down there and a couple up here. Maybe an X right there. One here and a couple up there. Yeah, that kind of adds to the whimsy a little bit. Okay. Come back in with my loew-cornell number 2 again, which is broke, but this is one of my favorite brushes. I will take very good care of my brushes until they just start falling apart. But the brush part is usually always in pretty good condition, because if the hairs aren't right, it's not going to go on your project right, so take care of your brushes. Okay. Kind of liking his teeth bright white, so I think I might just leave them alone. Sometimes on my Halloween whimsies I make yellowy, orange, green teeth, but I'm kind of digging the white there. I think what I'll do now is come in with the butt of a medium brush and get some fresh white here. I'm going to highlight his nose and his eyes. So because his nose is kind of an oddball shape, I think what I'll do on a highlight is dot and drag. And then for the eyes, I've got my stylist. I've got the large ball on one end, small ball on the other. I like doing a 3-dot highlight. So large ball first, right in the black. And And then I'm going to come in with a small ball, dip, tap it once off, and maybe come up here with 2, tap it off, 2, just kind of shines up his eyes a little bit. Okay, now for the hair, because this one is done a little bit differently than the one I showed you earlier, we're going to be doing the hair off the top. So I'm just going to come up here with we'll let that one scar get hid, that's fine. Just come on around with a line of hair, and then I've got a rake brush that I'll rake some hairs down in. Don't get your fingers in the paint. And remember, we're putting another face on the back here too, so we'll be cautious of that as well. And I want to get the top up here as well, because what I'm going to do, once this is good and dry, and I mean a few days, not just a couple of hours, I'm going to end up sanding the top of this down. And I want to make sure that I'm not seeing any base coat or anything like that showing. Okay. Now a rake brush is pretty cool. It's great for making hair. This is a rake brush. The hairs are very thin on the tip. And the best way to condition it in clean water. And splay it out. Splay it out real good. I'm going to get in here with some black paint. Splay it out some more. Both sides. Now I'm going to come back on my project and just flick some hairs down. It's kind of whimsically flicking some hairs here and there. Remember, there's going to be a face back here, so not too long. Is an expensive brush, so make sure you clean it out good and put it away good, just like with all your brushes. Okay, that turned out okay. The little hairdos coming down. All right, the next thing is the pure silver. You could use gray, but it doesn't hurt to have silver and gold paint on hand. I've had this for years and it's still good. So I think and it's very, very wet, so be controlled because you don't want it dripping everywhere. So I think I'm going to use my number 2. Actually, I have my El Cheapo Craftsmart number 4. Let me condition that one and use it instead. Okay. I'll get a little more coverage with this, and it's still small enough to be controlled. So we're just gonna paint the bolt silver. And actually, before I go all the way down to his face, I want to float some of that green down there first. So I'm just going to float around the bolt here. In with my cheat number 4. This is the perfect thing to paint because your fist fits right in there. So you can hang on to it without getting your hands in the paint. Okay. I don't know, guys. I think he's done. Might want to do... Let's do a big old smile dot on his cheeks. Oops. There we go. Yeah, I'm liking him. I think he's done. I hope you enjoyed this project. And remember, don't forget you want to paint the other side, because if you're going to make this as a candy dish or turn it over like I did this one and do it as a luminary with a little tea light under it. I think if I had to do over on this one, I probably wouldn't have put as many stitches on his mouth. I think that was a little bit of overkill. Kind of digging this mouth a little bit better. Let's do one more quick thing while I've got some wet paint going on here. Let's get the scriptliner. Every little tiny detail that you add to your project that only takes a second to do is going to make it look better. And anytime you have a mouth coming down and don't get your fingers in the dot, do a lip. Boy, that fan was a mistake behind me. It is drying everything up. Let's do his lip. Just follow the grin. And then stylist for his... Let's do a small dot. We don't want to draw too much attention to it. Just highlight off to one side. It just adds a little bit of whimsy, a little bit extra. Took 2 seconds to do. I don't know, I could probably still be adding whimsies after you're done and shutting the video off, but maybe a couple of stitches on his nose. Yeah, let's call him done. If you have any questions, please comment below. Thanks for watching.